Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Over the last few days, I missed seeing all of you, but now I'm back, and I'm back with some hard facts. Times Now has always prided itself on being a channel that gets you the bare facts, the hard facts, and the facts that are so important to get to the truth. Today, as I have done over the last 30 years of my career, looking for the elusive truth, today, as every channel spouts about the cash for query scandal, we have cut the chase on the news hour, and we're getting to you forget the political rhetoric, the real voices that really matter, the voices that take us closer to the truth, voices that take us closer to unraveling of this entire scandal that has gripped the country over the last 1 week or so. The Mahua Moitra cash for query scandal, as it has been called. And the man who asked questions on her behalf, who used her login to raise these questions, Darshan Hiranandani, who's put out an affidavit, but for the first time speaks to me directly. The man who knows the entire truth, industrialist Darshan Hiranandani, reveals the bare facts of what really happened. Did he give diamonds, emeralds, scarves from Hermes and Louis Vuitton to Mahua Moitra? Did he gift her 35 pairs of shoes from Salvatore Ferragamo, Gucci bags and French wines? Did he give her 2 crore rupees to her associate and 75 lakhs to her? And did he have access to her parliament login? These are not easy questions to answer, but Darshan Hiranandani agreed to reveal the facts as they stand without any fear of favor. And here it is, Darshan Hiranandani speaking on Newshour Direct on every question that everybody in this country wants to know the answers to. Take a look. Thank you very much for joining me on the Newshour tonight, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani. Thank you for speaking to me. You've stirred up quite a hornet's nest here back in India. I just want to begin by asking you about your association with the Trinamool Congress Member of Parliament, Mahua Moitra, about whom you've written in an affidavit.
Navika, do you have a particular question?
I'm just asking you, what kind of an association have you had with her? Has she been a friend of yours for long? How long have you been in touch with her? How well do you know
her? She's been a close personal friend since 2017.
Okay, and she had raised questions about your affidavit. First, she raised the question about the fact that it was on plain paper. Since then, of course, it's been notarized. She's also made some allegations about how this affidavit has been signed and written by you under duress. I want to ask you, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, have you given this affidavit under duress?
Navika, the affidavit is signed by me voluntarily, no fear, no favor. Testimony of that is that I had it notarized at the Indian consulate in Dubai.
So you're saying Mahua Moitra is wrong when she says that this was an affidavit which was drafted in the Prime Minister's office and sent to you, and you were given 20 minutes with a gun to your head to sign it?
Navika, I can only say that this was clearly drafted by my lawyers based on my statement. Since I'm in Dubai, I had it notarized in the Indian consulate in Dubai. Then I sent it to the Privilege Committee of Lok Sabha and copied to CBI and Dr. Nishikant Dubey by email.
But let me ask you about allegations, and the story begins from the fact that there is an affidavit that has been given by Mr. Jay Anand Dehadrai, who is a lawyer and a close associate of Ms. Mahua Moitra, who says that he is privy and he is witness to a few conversations between you and the Member of Parliament. In fact, in these allegations made by Jay Anand Dehadrai, in paragraph 9 of your affidavit, you say, as was he warned, she thought that the only way to attack Shri Modi is by attacking Shri Gautam Adani and his group, as both were contemporaries and they belong to the same state of Gujarat. She was helped by the fact that the rise of Gautam Adani had created jealousy and detractors among some sections of businesses, politics and media, both within and outside the country. So she expected support from these sections in her endeavor to malign and embarrass the Prime Minister by targeting Shri Adani. Mr. Hiranandani, Mr. Jay Dehadrai has accused both you and Moitra of a criminal conspiracy of asking questions in Parliament. Do you think you were under pressure to ask these questions in Parliament through Ms. Moitra?
Navika, what actually occurred is there in my affidavit. Any part that, or any involvement in anything is in this matter is regrettable and an error of my judgment.
Error on your judgment. Error on your judgment of whom? The process in Parliament or the Member of Parliament and your impression of her?
I think me being entangled in this whole matter is an error of my judgment. And like I said, I've been very clear and explicit in my affidavit about what happened. And, I've got nothing more to add as far as that's concerned.
So let me ask you, on 16th of October, the Hiranandani Group issued a media release stating that the charges made by Mr. Jay Anand Dehadrai, where they relate to you, are baseless. 3 days later, on 19th October, you put out your affidavit. Why did you decide to abandon your previous position? And does it really mean that the allegations of Mr. Jay Anand Dehadrai are actually true and correct?
Navika, my sworn affidavit is related to my personal involvement in the matter. It prevails in that regard. I mean, as far as that is concerned, I have nothing more to add. But the reality is that after the complaint of Advocate Dehadrai brought the matter into full limelight, it then snowballed into a political controversy with the Parliamentary Committee on Ethics formally taking up the matter. Since it involved me by name directly and personally, it was incumbent upon me as a responsible citizen to bring the facts as they are before the public. Our group's a law-abiding business with a focus to build a nation. And frankly, I regret that my personal error of judgment has embarrassed my family directly and my employees and my company indirectly. But reality is, I felt that instead of a long process of investigation and denials, I must come forth with the facts upfront and cooperate fully, as is my nature, and feel relieved.
So initially you thought this would blow over, and therefore the release from your company saying there was no involvement, and then the change of heart because the matter went to a parliamentary committee. Was it fear? Was it just the desire to come out with the truth? What changed your mind?
No, I think any involvement in this is mine personally, and the statement of mine is mine in person. So I didn't, given that there was a formal inquiry that started to take place, it was incumbent on me to come forth and explain the truth and cooperate.
So, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, is there then truth in the fact that there are cases against the Hiranandani Group, your father, and therefore you thought you were in a vulnerable position, and therefore it's better to ward off any hit back, blowback, and therefore you decided to come clean?
Navika, in any allegation, any matter, we prefer to come forward to cooperate fully and come forward with the truth. And that's what I've done in this case. In business, there are many things that people allege and people do and you have worries about, but you always come forward with the truth, and you take it forward with whatever the consequences. So that principle we have continued to follow, and I have followed in this matter as well.
So, Mr. Hiranandani, let me ask you point blank. Was Ms. Moitra targeting Mr. Gautam Adani, and was it really to malign the Prime Minister, considering they were both from the same state? You've been in conversation with her, and you've been sending her questions, etc. Is it true that 41 out of the 56 questions were targeting Adani's for a reason?
Navika, I think I prefer to stick to my affidavit in this regard. But I can tell you that she felt that attacking Mr. Adani would target the Prime Minister because there was perceived proximity, as both are from the same state.
Is that all? Did you ever have conversations with her on this issue?
She was a personal friend, and this is how she felt.
Did she discuss with you that Congress leaders, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, were working with her to target the Adani Group? Did she ever tell you that?
Those details I've already given my affidavit, Navika. Nothing further for me to add on that.
So you stand by those statements in your affidavit that she did mention these names?
Navika, it's my affidavit. Of course, I stand by it.
Okay. I also want to ask you, Mr. Dehadrai claims that he's witnessed phone calls between you and Mahua Moitra, where you instructed her to raise specific questions in exchange for cash and valuables. I want to ask you very clearly, Mr. Hiranandani, did you make any payments to Ms. Mahua Moitra?
Navika, what actually occurred is there in my affidavit. And,
you have not specified. I have your affidavit in front of me on the issue of gifts and money. There isn't too much of detail, but these are mentioned in Mr. Jay Anand Dehadrai's affidavit, which is why I'm asking you.
Navika, again, I'll stick to what actually occurred is there in my affidavit. And any part of mine in this whole episode is regrettable and an error of judgment.
Mr. Hiranandani, there is also a mention in your own affidavit that you did help her she was allotted a Member of Parliament resident in Telegraph Lane, and you helped her do up the house and do the interiors of the house. So I'm saying that there is material exchange that did take place between you and her?
Navika, again, I've addressed this in my affidavit. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't wish to add to it right now.
But there is specific amounts that have been spoken about, and this is going to come up in the investigation. And Mr. Hiranandani, you've said you want to come clean even before the investigation begins. So Mr. Dehadrai claims that 75 lakhs were given directly to Ms. Moitra in cash prior to the Lok Sabha elections of 2019. This was for her election expenses. Now, 75 lakhs is a amount that is very specific. It's a yes and no question. Was this given or not given?
Navika, again, I've already addressed this. Whatever I am aware of, whatever my involved in the matter, I have already put it in the affidavit. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't wish to add to it right now.
But the allegations on money have not been clarified, and this is likely to come up in the investigations, which is why I ask you. There are two specific allegations, one of a 75 lakh rupee payment and one a 2 crore through Hawala channels to a close associate of Mahua Moitra, who's also a member of parliament. There are two allegations on specific amounts. I just think it's an opportune moment, Mr. Hiranandani, for you to come clean.
Navika, whatever extent of my involvement is there in the matter is already there in the affidavit. So, like I said, and I am there to cooperate fully with the agencies and with the ethics committee, and I will do it fully and frankly.
So let me ask you in another way. J. Anand Dehadrai has made certain allegations. Many of those have been clarified by you, and you've virtually said that these allegations are true. Should I believe that half of them are true and half of them are not, because on the monetary aspects you've remained silent in your affidavit? Why is it that you're silent on these issues?
Navika, I have provided details in terms of what actually occurred as far as my involvement is concerned, and those matters I have clarified. I have nothing more to add on that.
You said that there's been an error of judgment on your part. The gifts, and I can read out the list that has been provided by Mr. J. Anand Dehadrai: iPhones, diamond and emerald jewelry, scarves from Hermes and Louis Vuitton, 35 pairs of shoes from Salvatore Ferragamo, dozens of bottles of French and Italian wine, luxury cosmetics, bags from Gucci, a crocodile leather bag, cash in rupees and pound sterling. These are very specific details that have been mentioned. Mr. Hiranandani, I mean, people give gifts to their friends. Was this just friends giving gifts to friends?
Navika, like I said, that I would prefer to stick to my affidavit, and when called upon by either the Parliament Ethics Committee or any sort of authority, I will gladly cooperate and provide each and every detail that's required.
Are you still in touch with the Member of Parliament, Ms. Mahua Moitra?
Not at all.
Not on speaking terms, because she's raised a few questions, and she's and some other people mentioned by you in your affidavit have raised objections. For example, Ms. Sucheta Dalal, that Ms. Moitra was receiving help from people like Sucheta Dalal. Sucheta Dalal has come out and said she has nothing to do with the matter and she does not know Ms. Moitra personally. What would you say about questions raised on your affidavit by Sucheta Dalal?
I think my affidavit clarifies what I heard from Ms. Moitra. Anything beyond that, I think, is between others.
Did you also hear about any short-selling firms that have been in the center of the controversy, Hindenburg, etc.? You've spoken about overseas journalists. Any names that you may have heard from Ms. Moitra?
Whatever I heard, I have put down in the affidavit. When you say the demands that were made and favors that were asked included gifting her expensive luxury items, providing support on renovation of her officially allotted bungalow in Delhi, travel expenses, holidays, apart from providing secretarial and logistical help, all of these have been mentioned by you. Do you think this is tantamount to bribing a member of parliament, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani? Look, she was a close personal friend, as I've said in my affidavit, and I'd like to stick to my affidavit and let things take its course.
You also admit that you did use the login and password of her Lok Sabha Member of Parliament account for asking questions. Did you actually use them from Dubai, Ms. Hiranandani, and did it ever cross your mind that this was probably not quite the right thing to do? Again, error of judgment?
I mean, certainly that part is an error of judgment.
But do you think it's more serious than that? Because some members of parliament in the BJP have raised the question about national security.
To be honest, I have no idea about all of that. I can only state the facts.
How often did you use that login account to put in questions via Mahua Moitra in Parliament?
I think let the record come out. I think it'll speak for itself.
Okay. I just want to ask you, Jay Anand Dehadrai has been alleged as being rather sour ex who has put this all out. What motivated you, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, to come out clean on this entire matter?
I think when the Parliament Committee of Ethics formally took up the matter, as I said earlier, I mean, there was no question of not coming up front and clarifying what had happened. I didn't, once it was formally taken up, it was incumbent on anybody law-abiding to state the facts.
Have you had any correspondence with the ethics committee? Have you deposed before them? Have they summoned you? Any movement on that front, on the investigation front, Mr. Hiranandani?
No, not at all.
Mr. Hiranandani, many will ask you the question, are you backing off, so to say, because you may have bitten more than you could chew, because Adani's are a larger group than yours, and BJP is the ruling party, so you're on the wrong side of both?
Actually, there is no question of me wanting or seeing or being against either any group or against the government. In fact, I have made most investments in BJP ruled states, and I continue to do so. And I work hard every day to make sure that we continue to build a nation. There's no question of that. My affidavit is very clear on my personal involvement and the facts as I know it and they occurred.
Mr. Hiranandani, before I let you go, let me just ask you this question. You spoke about and this is not something that you're hearing from her. This is your own deduction. She had frequent interactions with international journalists from Financial Times, the New York Times, the BBC, and also with several Indian publications. She also received unverified details from several sources, including some claiming to be former Adani Group employees. Did she personally tell all these details to you?
Yeah, 100%.
And do you think some of the issues on which she attacked the government were motivated far from facts?
Look, I don't know the details of those facts, etc. I can only tell you that she would say that she's received information, and that for her, she felt it was her job as an opposition MP to attack the government.
But then you say certain information was shared with me based on which I continued to draft and post questions using her parliamentary login whenever needed, which means you were convinced that what she was telling you was the truth.
Navika, I think the parliamentary questions record will speak for itself, and I think I'll be happy to stick to my affidavit as far as that's concerned.
Mr. Hiranandani, are you still friends with Mahua Moitra? Is she still a close personal friend as she was?
I think I'm now persona non grata as far as Ms. Mahua Moitra is concerned.
And you mentioned several other names. You've mentioned the names of other parliamentarians apart from Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, Mr. Pinaki Mishra, with whom also she shared close relations. Is there something specific that you would want to say about her interactions with them?
No, those details I've already given in my affidavit. I don't wish to add anything more at this stage.
Did she help you? You also said that she was an opposition leader in touch with a lot of other opposition leaders, and she could help your business in opposition-ruled states. Did she help you with your businesses in opposition-ruled states?
She always spoke well of me to people.
Any direct help to your business?
I mean, I'd like to stick what I said to my affidavit in the matter, and I think I've given enough details at this stage.
Mr. Hiranandani, in retrospect, do you think there was some blurring of the lines between personal friendships, between business matters, and between matters of the state, especially when it comes to logging in and asking questions through a member of parliament's own login account?
I think this whole episode is frankly a crazy error of judgment and is highly regrettable.
Do you think just a regret is enough, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, given the fact that this at various levels breaks a lot of laws and rules? Many are calling it cash for query, because there were gifts that were exchanged between you in cash and kind in return for the kind of questions that were asked. Many are talking about the fact that a lot that goes on in Parliament is discussed like this. Business is furthered through members of Parliament in this manner. Do you think somewhere along the line you would want to introspect and, find your own fault in this?
Navika, I think I have been upfront in my affidavit in terms of clarifying the whole matter. I mean, ultimately, whatever fault is there is, it's upfront, and it's for people to decide, in terms of what fault I bear in this whole story.
Just the one remaining answer. You talk about luxury gifts, but you haven't really clarified on the cash part. Do you think if you were to actually confess to giving money, the 2 crores through Hawala or 75, you would get into further trouble with laws? Is that why you're refraining from confirming that?
Navika, whatever I have done, I have already addressed in my affidavit. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, on that note, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, thank you very much for joining me, for being upfront on many things. We'll still wait if you change your mind to give us any details about the cash transactions, because that would be very crucial to this investigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Navika.